Good morning, everybody. Gabe here, and welcome back. I lied last video saying it would be the last motovlog of 2021 because actually the weather's been pretty nice. I've tried to make this video a few times, but I'm not really happy with the result, and as I keep having nice weather, I'm going to keep trying, so I'm hoping this will be the one. I am commuting to work again, so I'm starting my commute here, so I have a little ways to go before I get on the highway, so I'd like to get most of this done before I hit the highway and have all the wind and everything. So today's topic is going to be the 2022 XSR 900. We just got some promo video released from Yamaha Europe showing most of the bike. I would say they kind of left some stuff out there. I'm guessing it wasn't by accident. I don't know why though. We're going to see more information soon, I'm sure. More pictures and stuff. I'm hoping to see the bike in person at the bike show in February, so really I'll make a much stronger opinion then if I see it. But based on what we do know, I'd like to give some thoughts. I find it's an interesting development, but to talk about it properly, let's talk a little bit about the history intertwined between the XSR and the MT-09 model, because they've always been very close siblings. The XSR has always been straight up just based off the MT-09. It is an MT-09 with different aesthetics and different ergonomics, but in 2016 when it launched, it wasn't just that. It was a technological improvement over the existing MT-09, that first gen MT-09 that launched in like 2013. I think it was a 2014 model year though, but that bike had, the 2016 XSR had traction control, ABS, an improved fuel map to reduce some of that famous throttle jankiness, and a stiffer rear spring because to reduce some of the famous rear end bounciness the bike has under like cornering and stuff. So that 2016 XSR is more expensive than the standard MT-09 of its day, but you're getting a different look with custom machine parts for sure. That's going to add cost, aluminum stuff, and this new like LED unit here, display unit. But you're also getting a lot of tech with all that TC and ABS. You're getting improvements like the spring. So it has a premium over the MT, but it kind of makes sense. Well, a year or two later, the MT would basically catch up. They would release a revision of the MT-09, the one with the kind of bug eyes. So that was the second, I'm going to call that one the second gen. They didn't change any fundamentals of the bike, but they gave it all the XSR stuff, right? They gave it the new stiff spring, they gave it the TC, they gave it the ABS, they gave it the new fuel map from the XSR. So at this point, they gave it a facelift too, right? That's what I mean about the bug eyes. But at this point, XSR 900 and MT-09 are the same bike minus aesthetics and ergonomics. And an MT-09, the first two generations anyway, you sat very far forward in the seat in kind of like almost a supermoto-esque seating position. Kind of an unusual choice for a naked sport bike. Some people loved it, some people didn't. The XSR definitely has more traditional ergonomics. They're more what you'd expect. You sit on this, it's very natural. It feels like quite a lot of the other naked bikes on the market. No real differences. So, that's it. 2018, you're buying a new XSR. You're still paying a premium for it, but you're just getting aesthetics. Now, again, some of that aesthetics does come down to custom machine parts, or new parts that are machined, like that are made of metal, that on the MT would be plastic stuff. So there is some justification, but not nearly as much as there once was. Let's flash forward to 2021, and they released a new MT-09. The new MT-09 is a real new generation. It's the third gen, but in a way, it's the real first revision of the bike. It's not just a facelift. It's a new engine, it's a new frame, it's got an all-new electronic system, all LED lighting, a new display unit. It's significant. I don't think they played with the brakes or the suspension, but I could actually be wrong there. So it's a big revision. So quick, we'll talk about some of those components, because the XSR, the one they just announced, is going to be based off that 2021. So the new engine increases the displacement by 40 some odd cc's, but it makes like maybe 5 more horsepower. So I don't think that they increased the engine specifically to make more horsepower. I think they increased the engine because they had to meet Euro 5 emissions, and the only way they could even make the same power as before was to increase the displacement. So while they were at it, they did find a few more horsepower in there. I'm pretty sure they didn't screw with the signature thing of this bike, which is its power delivery curve. I can't imagine they would have changed that too much. That's the whole selling point of MT-09 XSR 900 engine, right? So I would think it would feel largely the same, a little bit more power. One thing that kind of sucks when manufacturers often bump displacement like this is you get increased weight as a consequence. But what's nice is they actually made the bike lose weight, which is pretty cool. And they did it mostly, I think, by also updating the frame. This is really neat to me. Not a lot of manufacturers are doing twin spar aluminum anymore. Steel is very much in vogue, probably because it's cheaper, frankly. You still see twin aluminum, you know, on race bikes and stuff, because super bikes, because it's more performant in those scenarios. But you know, kind of bikes of the people like this, more and more you're coming with a steel frame. You get that more expensive Kawasaki Z900 RS, and that's a steel frame bike, for example. Nothing wrong with that or anything, but I do think aluminum is cool, and I'm glad that not only are they still using it on the MT, but they've actually went out of their way to engineer an improvement on it. It's pretty different. They've increased both the stiffness and reduced the weight, which is like the two things you want out of a frame. They've managed to make both better. Usually it's a trade-off between one or the other, right? So I think it's really cool. The electronics now get an IMU, inertial measurement unit, which is a gyroscope with a sensor on it, like your phone has, to know if it's sideways or not. Well, the bike has one of those too. Comes from an older Gen R1, and it'll know when it's leaned over. That allows you to have lean angle sensitive traction control and ABS, which the new bike has. My KTM had that stuff, so I'm kind of familiar with those features. Although I will say I've never activated either of them, so I don't know like what it would be like and how different it would feel compared to regular old ABS or traction control. Who knows? But there it is. You have those. It also has, electronics-wise, it also has 4 ride modes instead of this version has 3. It has wheelie control, kind of independent from slide control now. And you can turn off wheelie control, because would it be an MT-09 if it couldn't be turned off? They wouldn't sell any of them. It would be crazy. What else? I'm just trying to think of if I'm missing anything. Oh yes, the new TFT display comes on the new MT-09. 3.5-inch full color TFT. Very similar again to what I had on my KTM. I think maybe a little smaller, but I don't remember the size of the KTM. Regardless, TFT displays are, as long as they don't use a really stupid font or something, are pretty easy to read, especially compared to this like kind of LCD style one. You get full color. They're better at night, and they're better against glare in the sun. It's an improvement on the technology. So that's the new MT-09, and this comes out 2021. So if you buy an XSR 900 in 2021, not only are you no longer getting the more high-tech bike like you were in 2016, you're not just getting parity anymore. You're actually getting a less high-tech bike, because the new MT-09 has all this new stuff, and the 2021 XSR is still the old XSR, still based off the old stuff. So the old 847cc engine, frame, and so on. Okay, we're getting on the highway, so it's going to be louder. Sorry. I always catch up to the cars too quickly. It's so sad. So this bike in 2021, you're really buying it because of aesthetics, which I did, by the way. I knew all this stuff that I'm saying going in. I knew the story. The new MT-09 had been out for a while, so I knew about all this. And I chose to do this anyway because, well, I'll get to why, but aesthetics is the biggest reason. I did not want the new MT-09, I wanted this bike. So, after that, they finally announced the new 2022 XSR, and that's really good, because now the XSR, once again, has feature parity with the MT. We get the new frame, we get the new engine, we get the new electronics, we get all the stuff on the XSR. And you definitely see that in the promo. You can see the frame very clearly. I mean, it's very distinct looking, and we'll talk about that in a second. But it does mean that in 2022, buying the new XSR gets you back on parity. It also means that unless they change something in the announcement, there's nothing new, right? So you're not going back to the days where XSR meant a more advanced bike than MT. It's just the same. again, you're buying ergonomics and aesthetics, and even ergonomics, the new MT has normalized its ergonomics and it's much less supermoto-esque. So I would say you're really, really buying aesthetics. And again, I was fine with that. I knew what I was doing, but I will say that you gotta consider, especially if there's a hefty premium, what you're paying for here. So, in terms of the new XSR, because we're mostly going to just be talking about aesthetics here, I don't love how the new frame looks on the XSR. I gave all these compliments to the new frame before because I'm so happy they did it, and it is cool. And there's unquestionably better from a performance point of view. But I can't help but think that it doesn't look right on the XSR, on the retro naked styled bike. Oh, that's weird. Sorry. It's kind of wide. It's very. It takes up a lot of room. It feels too bulky. I don't know. It doesn't look right to me. And I know I'm not the only person. I know a couple of people who saw the bike and that was their first reaction. So it's polarizing at least, right? The other thing is the headlight. They've kept the round headlight, thank God. It's like the signature characteristic of this bike. But it looks like it's smaller. Like the unit itself, not the bulb, but the whole unit, you know, it looks smaller than the old one. So I find couple that with the wider frame and it just looks way too small. It might be a perspective problem. Maybe if I see the bike up close, it won't have that, like in real life, it won't have that problem. But at least from the video, that was my impression. So I find that's kind of a negative. On the positive, I really love that it's an LED headlight. That's a big improvement over the halogen that I have in mind. Also, the headlight on this bike is weak, so you know, increasing to LED hopefully will up the effectiveness of the thing. That would be really good. The other aesthetic thing I would say is that I love the color scheme. The blue and gold looks really good. I don't know if I like it quite as much as this red, white, and black, but it's close. It looks really nice. I also like the gold forks is a really good touch. My CBR 600RR had gold forks, and I always love that. So that's really cool. I don't know how I feel about the TFT display. Again, functionally, it's going to be better. There's no question. But this display unit was a like custom part for the XSR 900, and now I'm pretty sure they're just going to get the same, you know, 3.5-inch iPhone, sideways iPhone that the MT has. It's better from a functional point of view, I have no question, but it is aesthetically a little disappointing to go from this cool round custom unit to like what everybody else has. So, okay. In the promo video itself, there's a couple of things I think they use that won't be part of the stock bike, so let me explain. They used a rear seat cowl to turn it into a single seater, had that old race bike look, so the rear seat is covered by like a piece of plastic and metal. And they also have bar end mirrors on the bike. I don't think either of those things are going to ship with the bike. The seat cowl is a part you could already buy for this bike, so I'm guessing it's just the same part again, and they put it on there because people like how it looks. Personally, I don't care for it, but I understand why people do like it. And bar end mirrors also, they look chunkier than those like eBay specials you see so many people with on their cafe racers, but I still doubt they'll come with the bike stock. We'll have to see, but my guess is they're an aftermarket part, or a part Yamaha will sell you, but not a stock part. I know a lot of people love bar and mirrors. Again, not my thing. That's like a motorcycle hot take. I don't really like bar and mirrors. I don't like the look, and I really don't like that they make the bike wider, because your handlebars are your widest point, and if you stick those on, they stick out. It makes the bike wider, and I don't like that. I also don't find they work as well the few times I tried them. So I'll stick with these guys, thank you. But I do know that like every other XSR owner ever immediately replaces their mirrors with bar ends, so maybe there'll be a Yamaha option, and maybe it'll actually work okay, who knows. Again, I doubt they'll be stock. So just something to keep in mind when you watch that promo, that's not exactly the bike that you're gonna get. That's often the case with promos. So yeah, I think it's a good step forward. Like the new MT-09, I mean the new XSR, it's, you know, it's the same bike, but like either way, it's a good step forward. If I was buying new tomorrow or, well, like next year, instead of having done it this year, and I saw both bikes side by side, I would get the new one. The only reason I wouldn't would be like a big price discount on the old one, because, you know, the old one is pretty good. There's nothing wrong with this. It's just the new one is better. It's incrementally better. So yeah, I would still take a big discount if I could and get the old bike, but if not, if they're the same price, I'm taking the new bike. There's no question. It is better. I don't really care about ride modes. I just find one and stick with it so that I always have my muscle memory. I did that with this bike. I did A mode. But if this bike had only shipped with standard, like there were no ride modes, then I would have memorized standard and that would have been the end of it. It's not something I'm concerned with, so adding a fourth one, I don't care. The lean angle sensitive electronics, again, I had them on my KTM. I'm not really sure that I've ever needed it or could tell the difference. I'm sure there are certain emergency situations where it's an improvement, so I mean, it's included. Why wouldn't you take it, right? It's great. They got no problem with that. The TFT, I already said my thoughts. All LED lighting, excellent, man. I hate the blinkers on this thing, and I really don't like the dull headlight, so going to all LED, big step forward. Very happy about that. I'm hoping that LED headlight unit will slot into this bike. I know I'm kind of dreaming in color there, but like, it would be amazing if I could just get that unit and stick it right in here. On this bike, just plug her right in and it would work. I would pay for that. I would buy that if that was possible. We'll see. You never know. Yeah, I think that covers it. Oh, I have a last little thought. When I was thinking about how I don't really like the look of the frame in the new bike as much as the old frame, I had this idea. If you don't know what it is, Google a Yamaha TZ250. It's a little two-stroke race bike from the 80s. Now, the new frame doesn't work really well with the retro naked look, so how about making a retro fared bike, Yamaha? How about making me an 80s inspired, like an 80s race bike inspired retro bike, where you take the same recipe, you take the frame and the engine and all the good stuff from the MT-09 here, and you put some 80s fairings over it and a square LED but square headlight, and you make it look like that TZ250 or some bike kind of like in that vein. I'd really like to see that. I'm probably bigger on 80s nostalgia than 70s because I wasn't alive in the 70s. Although I do think this bike looks really cool. Just, you know, for me, like the 80s nostalgia speaks a little more to me. And I would love to see that. So I don't know, maybe that market's too small, but it's a way. I was thinking about it because it's a way you could hide the frame and still have all its benefits. That said, the new frame isn't so ugly that it's like awful or anything. And I actually think it looks nice on the MT-09. I like the new MT-09. I don't really care for modern naked bike looks. The new MT-09 is also really like weird and out there, but I actually like it. Not as much as the XSR, but I still like. It's probably my favorite modern naked bike right now for looks. Except maybe the BMW. No, that one's got the offset lights. Actually, no, probably the Ducati Monster's a really good looking bike. So there's always that one. But I like the new MT-09 definitely more than the old gens. So I think that's it. I'm going to stop now. So new XSR, it's good. It's better than the old one. It's an improvement, but I do kind of wish some of the look stuff was a little better. And that's kind of my take. It's incremental, so it's definitely not going to be something. I'm not going to be trading this bike in for one, you know? But if I was buying new tomorrow or new next year, yeah, I would get the new one because I do think it's better. So that's it. I don't know if I'll get to make another vlog. It's, getting kind of late in the season here. But if I do, awesome, I'll see you then. And if not, well, I will make another motovlog next year. I'll make some other videos this year, but just not motovlogs. So in any case, I'll see you again. So have a good day or morning or night or whatever time it is for you. And peace.